Yes, a very warm welcome from wherever you might be watching us from. This is Sahel Bulletin, and you know what we do in the Sahel Bulletin. We go to the northwest of Africa and scan the Sahel region, because if you are not conversant with these terms, probably the Sahel and the Sahel region, maybe we can start from the Sahara Desert. It's one of the biggest deserts in the world, or the first one in Africa actually, and it covers nearly almost the whole of West Africa to the part of Chad. Then we have Ethiopia is also affected by the Sahara Desert effect. But today we want to talk about the Sahel region, because this Sahel region has had a lot of controversies from beginning with the three countries that, have been hitting the global media headlines. We are talking about Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. These three countries, they have a few things in common. First, they are all led by military governments. What happened in different intervals in time, some military forces took over this government by force and now are controlling this government. There's a lot of controversies because some feel like, a military government, it's like jeopardizing democracy. Well, others feel like democracy is a bit hyped, because in as much as we talk about democracy, yes, people are given the freedom to express, lead, and govern themselves. But you see, democracy, what is democracy? Let me check it here real quick. Democracy is a system of government in which political power is vested in the people. Okay? The political powers are invested in the people who exercise this authority either directly or through elected representatives. Now, it's a form of government, but this government, the powers of the government are invested in the people. And it goes ahead, these people can exercise their democratic rights either directly or through the representatives. And this is now where the big question arises, because if the representatives themselves are not doing what the people elect them to do in those government institutions, then what other business do people have, with these leaders? And it's for that reason that we had a big split in these three countries, because the previous administration, before the military leaders came, they were heavily invested with political influences, and it is the same thing to the ECOWAS bloc, because Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso were part of the ECOWAS bloc until then, when they decided to take matters on their own hands. That's when they decided to break from ECOWAS, which was heavily influenced by France's opinions. Now, I want to give you just a little breakdown, because we keep talking about Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So the first country, before 2020, everything was running normally. Democratically elected, leaders in this country, but the people themselves who elected these members, the people who elected these members, including the president, they were not comfortable with the services they were getting. First, there was a lot of insecurity across the Sahara region, was highly developing. It was becoming a concern to the people. Number two, the poverty level, the economic shutdown of these countries. I mean, it's only the elite who cared about themselves. I believe, in my own thinking, before a military decides to take over the country, probably they have seen it all, okay? And why these militaries or these soldiers decided to take over the power is because these are the people who were in the front line in the battle. It started in Mali, that is back in 2020. They had a president called IBK, Ibrahim Abubakar Keita. Now, Keita was a darling to France. And Keita was never the best example of a president that probably Mali was hoping for. And after all that time of his leading, they just felt like this is not coming. Now, Mali is a rich country because it has a lot of minerals. It is this reason that France felt like they have to keep perpetuating, this kind of leadership, so that it will be easy for them to control the whole of Mali. Because if the president gives away the country, well, there's nothing you can do for as the citizens. Now, Keita was later overthrown by Assimi Goïta. he was a soldier. And later, when you follow up with Assimi Goïta, some of the things he says in some of his interviews, they are really devastating. He can give accounts of how they could fight with the French soldiers, and the French soldiers will put them, in the front line to act as a test. I don't know, but you get the point. But basically, yes, they were saying they were coming to fight insecurities and insurgencies, but clearly you could tell there was a conflict of interest, because some of these terrorists are allegedly affiliated to some French organizations, or I don't know. I don't want to say it's not the French government, but they are associated with France. And on the other hand, the same French government who is associated or is affiliated with these terrorists, if you may, are still helping the same government to fight the same terrorists. Okay? So you can see it's something that I know that you can untangle it. We just have to keep going round and round and round and round and round until it came to a point where, someone will have to notice either way. So that was the case with Mali. So that is how Mali became a military-led government. And people were so happy about it, Other medias can say a lot of things, they can call it a coup, they can call it, but to the Mali people, they saw it as a liberation, as a freedom, because there could never have been any other way. So as a result, after the Assimi Goïta, the military leader, got into power, there had to be a lot of changes, some of the French partnership, and, they had to be halt just to make sure that we are starting things on a new slate. And moving forward, Mali has had a lot of challenges, military-wise, and that's when they decided to, bring in new partners, people like Russia. Now, Russia is a neutral country, because nobody have heard of issues per se with Russia and Africa. And for them, I just felt like it was like just new beginnings, new partners, new ideas, and so forth. And Mali has been doing great, regardless of the current attacks. They have had attacks recently. We had one of the topmost senior general killed in a car bomb clash that involved this terrorist group. One of the terrorists was a suicide bomb. It was around 5 a.m. in the morning, and one of the terrorists, just decided to give his life away and drove direct into General Kamara's home. And, unfortunately, we lost the general, and it was a great loss. But since then, Mali has been importing more equipment. We can always see them, how they are relentlessly fighting. Mali is a very big country, but as per now, Mali are doing, they are good. They are still fighting terrorism, and we hope that everything will work. So that is it for Mali.